go back now to the discussion that we were just about to begin when we got that exciting news out of NASA. Joined once again by syndicated radio talk show host Leslie Marshall and Lars Larson. Leslie is also a Fox News contributor. And Leslie, I want to get back to the line of thought of my first question here. And it was we watched Jay Carney sort of, almost at pains to express the fact that President Obama has for some time been thinking about unrolling his plan to get this budget under control, and that he had been sort of calculating it for a while, and that now he's ready to release it. You can't help but notice that Paul Ryan grabbed a lot of headlines with his several trillion-dollar plan to cut the budget, and now the president is sort of forced to play catch-up to Paul Ryan in this case.
Well, as Lars would say, the president isn't leading. So, Lars, you got your leadership, okay? I think, hey, not to be cliche, but haste makes waste. You want to have numbers that are going to work, and you want to also have numbers that you think both sides can agree on. Having said that, these guys can't agree, left or right. Lars, I love you, but can we ever agree?
I'm telling you, Leslie, I'm going to agree with you. There is no leadership. The fact is the president's been thinking about it for a long time while the country has been spent another couple of $1 trillion into debt. He needs to get about the business of leadership. He didn't lead during the budget process last week as they were trying to work things out, and I don't expect much from the speech tomorrow, frankly. I understand it's going to be very thin on details, and I really don't expect this president to make serious cuts in a government that's going to run a $1.6 trillion deficit in this next year. He hasn't offered much of value at all.
I want to get a thought from both of you on this, because it just raises the question. If you go into this speech and you talk about raising taxes, which we understand is part of this speech, at least, above $250,000, to put it sort of on the backs of the wealthy in this country, there's all kinds of economic arguments about why that doesn't work. But Leslie, if you don't talk about, really taking on cuts in spending in this country, is the president missing a big opportunity to A, deal with the problem, and B, to reach independents who are very committed to that idea?
The president does want to talk about cuts, and he is leading, Lars. I didn't say he wasn't leading. I'm saying you're getting what you wanted, but he is talking about cuts. They're not the cuts the Republicans want. So for all this, where's the leader being a leader? Now that he's a leader, that's not going to make any difference. The bottom line is that unless we get serious, quite frankly, both sides, about cutting huge entitlement programs, not 28% of discretionary spending with education and labor and health care, but the wars and things like that.
Huge cuts in entitlement programs? Do you expect that tomorrow, Leslie?
I think that he is going to make adjustments to those entitlement programs that will result in less spending out without cutting benefits. There's a lot of fraud in these kind of programs that can be obviously cut out.
You're absolutely right about that.
And you don't have to cut benefits to do so.
Already on the table, Lars, the debt commission, $4 trillion in cuts. Paul Ryan, north of that. So the president, that's the bar at this point, $4 trillion. Is that what we're going to hear from him tomorrow?
That's right. No, we're not going to hear anything like that. I wish we would. In fact, I'll promise you this, Leslie. If the president comes out and says we're going to cut $4 trillion over the next 10 years, I'll be the first guy to jump on my radio show and praise his actions.
I want you to say you'll become a Democrat. You'll become a Democrat if he says that.
No, I'm not going to become a Democrat. But I'll tell you what, Leslie, there aren't enough rich doctors or other rich people in this country to be able to pay the kind of bills that Obama wants to write the checks for. This president doesn't have the capacity to cut. He owes too much to too many people.
I'm going to jump in on you. Thank you so much, Leslie Marshall and Lars Larson. Great to talk to both of you.